So I appear to have hit a snag today. I was doing so good on everything. I mentioned my mom sent me that picture of my former stepson, who's now like 16. And it's like, holy shit, he looks like his dad. And not as hardened eyes, perhaps, but still, I think seems like he used to look more like his mom, but now more like his dad. And I don't know, I think just thinking about any of them in general is not exactly favorable, period, especially as I've been doing this whole healing journey, and was doing good at being disengaged from all that stuff at like the physical standpoint, I guess. But still working through the stuff that navigating through the stuff for like the healing journey and what I had to go through and learn from along the way. But yeah, I've just been feeling kind of gross this evening. And then did not help. I put a new profile picture up on Facebook and saw that I had a couple comments, so I logged on long enough to check those out and collided with the physical person of this whole twin flame journey. And the big thing on this twin flame path is not to connect with the physical at all. It's like you're working on basically bringing yourself into balance with both the masculine and feminine aspects, balancing those out. Since the whole physical earth plane is all about duality and on that. So it's coming to unity consciousness and balancing both aspects within yourself. And I've done pretty good on that. I had been doing very good and hadn't, I got off of social media to avoid that. And then I just walked right into it again. It's like, this is why we weren't doing that, remember? Oh, yeah, oops. So I wrote about it in my little journal thing. And it was like, yeah, so it's like, it just all at once feel like I dropped a whole lot of wobble into my path when I was doing so good for so long. And it's not just a me thing. I mean, honestly, it was like the that kind of wobble, that hitting the rocks, and oops. I actually was thinking a little bit ago, it's like, dare I do a video while I am skating again today when I've already thrown this wobble into my path? Dare I do it on skates and run the risk of crashing full on? So far, I've not had any wrecks while I've been trying to do a video. Hopefully that continues, but I guess we'll find out. yeah. I mean, because that's always been where I've brought myself to the screeching halt. Is I will be skating, we'll be on a roll, everything's going so good, and then my thoughts go negative, and then I hit a rock, and then I fall down, go boom. Yeah, and the one time I did it, like I had some pretty serious momentum, and I'm pretty sure I was like within an inch of eating the pavement. Luckily, it did not happen, but I thought it was really close. I thought I was going. My thought was not delivering. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, so I inserted the wobble into my whole deal today. You know, in the last video I did, wasn't that big of a deal. Ended abruptly because my parents got home, and you know, they still don't know that I'm doing the YouTube stuff. At some point, they'll figure it out. As now, they'll comment that it seemed like I was gone a lot longer than how much I skated or walked the dogs or whatever. It's like, yeah, well, we don't come home immediately. No big deal. But yeah, so there's that. So that was its own little wobble, and then the ex-stepson wobble, and then the twin flame human aspect wobble, and I'm just like, probably should have taken the time to stop and meditate before I came out here, but I didn't. I'll do that when I get home, because really this skating stuff is pretty much a type of meditation in and of itself as well, you know. And yeah. So threw the wobble in there. I had some cards out from yesterday that I was going to write down in the journal, and then I was like, I feel like I need different cards. So I wrote down the rough overview of them, just what the little blurb that's on the cards, like for Rumi, it says mystical knowing, I think, and it says breaking boundaries, personal relationship, or personal experience of God. And yeah, I mean, so there were good cards yesterday, and it's just like where I was before any of the wobble came in. It was a lot more encouraging, optimistic, hopeful, whatever, all the good things, you know. And the cards were like right along with what I was kind of feeling yesterday. And the ones I drew for today, there ended up being 6 of them. Pretty sure they're going to be relevant, but at this point I did not read the cards and what they said. I just pulled them and got an idea of which ones they were. I read what the actual card said, but not the guidebook, so I still do not read without the guidebook, because I don't retain stuff very well, as far as the meanings and whatnot. So I like to have the guidebook to refer back to get my sense of anything. Yeah, and I have my little tarot journal thing that I do the oracle cards for instead of tarot, and just get the energy for the day. So I mean, this deck, there's not anything that is actually negative. It's just a matter of where's your energy, and not as promising and favorable as it was before, but not bad. Basically, the whole point of that was just realizing that no matter how good of a space I am in and how much work I have done, obviously there's always more that can be done, and it's still possible to insert the wobble. And then what are you gonna do? Well, come on and do a video to bitch about it. Oh, yeah. Shit. You know, and I'll do the things to clear my aura when I get home. Sage and all that stuff. Oh, the Epsom salts in the shower. Get all this funk out of my system. That sucks. I don't like that. You know, I don't like that I've been in such a good space. You know, I even started off really good this morning, and then just like that comes crashing down. You know, and I think that's a big part of it, is because I was thinking before I started the video while I was skating. It's like, the me that learned to distrust the intuition. All that time growing up and all that fun stuff. You know, it goes largely because I get to wander around in these other places that most people don't get to experience that. You know, and what I've seen of it, what I've learned of it, what I've connected with and held on to over the past years. Like, you know, it was 22 years ago, I had those knowings where I knew my friend Tyler was going to die in our mid-30s. I would briefly bring everybody back together for a short span of time, and then I would be in my 40s before I started figuring anything out for myself. And well, both of those happened, so you know, but it's not an immediate thing. Like, I saw them, and then particularly the one with Tyler's death terrified the crap out of me. So since I somehow took on the blame of something that hadn't even happened, I figured it was somehow my fault that he died in our mid-30s. And because of that, or in some way related to that, I would be 40 before I started figuring things out myself. You know, I solved the two together and assumed that they somehow meant I was responsible for it in some kind of way. But when I ran as hard away from that friendship and all the other connections as I did afterwards, and then it still happened, obviously it wasn't my fault. But again, what it did do was put me in a situation where I realized that, okay, that whatever there was on the other side of death, since he was gone, he likely knew everything that I would have hidden from him if we were talking about it in person. So there was no point in hiding anything anymore. And so I started writing him letters And I filled out several notebooks of me writing him letters and telling him stories about what had happened and what it had meant for me, and how, you know, the two guys that, well, the one guy started this whole ordeal for me, and two other guys connected to him who, well, one of them was a very big advocate in keeping that lie alive and making my life a living hell. And the other one decided to see it as an opportunity because since he thought that it was true that I'd had sex with this dude at 8 years old, that he wanted experience, so obviously I would be willing to go along with it, right? But then what happened was when, you know, okay, so I was in 7th grade and he wanted to go out with me. And I knew then what it was, what he was after, because he and his buddies would sit in front of me in band class and be laughing the entire time, and almost always in my direction. So one dude wanted experience, thought I was easy, and so he decided he wanted to go out with me. And I knew it was for no other reason than to get experience. And I saw it as an opportunity to try to free myself from that whole thing. Because maybe if he realized that wasn't the case, maybe he would figure out that the bullshit he'd been hearing wasn't true. But, you know, so I went along with the going out thing, but it didn't happen. Nothing happened the way he thought it would. And when he groped me, and then I dumped him like the next day or whatever, after, because we were on a camping trip when the whole thing came up. Then, you know, then what happened was I ended up on his hit list when he decided to bring a knife to school and had people he was going to kill. And it's like I knew then that he wasn't going to do anything. And it was more pissed that it was coming up, so I had to even be bothered by it more than anything. And yeah, because when I dumped him, I of course told all my friends why, and then nobody wanted anything to do with him. So I think we all kind of ended up on his hit list. This whole thing is bullshit. But it was one of those things, it's like, all because the stupid thing came up when I was 8, and I got my voice taken away from me and was unable to speak up for myself. You know, because my mom just made me feel guilty that the whole thing had come up, period. She never bothered to try to find out what had actually happened or not. So yeah. Then I end up on this dude's hit list for, yeah, stupid shit. I was like, I'm starting to think now that I'm getting, or at this point in the video, starting where I did, with the inserting the Wobble into my day. Kind of feeling like the point of all the stuff to bring the Wobble on was to bring me back to this point and remind me that I have grown a lot with, all the healing that I have done. Because when I started talking about this, when I was writing to Tyler, obviously I was feeling shitty about everything. And I was just opening up to anybody about all this bullshit that had happened because of something that I wasn't even able to realize hadn't happened until I was 35 and my friend died. So then I wrote to him and was starting to put these pieces together. It's like, this all fucking sucks. And so the reason I'm where I am today, being able to put any of these pieces together, is because he died and I started opening it up to him in letters as though he was still alive. And only through starting to tell the stories and piece them together and figure out how everything was connected was I able to free up enough space from the ongoing trauma in my life to even realize how I ended up in the toxic relationship that I did. And only then did leaving and getting out of it become an actual possibility. Which, because it freed up enough space to realize that, I've been told by everybody that I was a really shitty person all my life. Just to find out that it was all freaking illusion to make me believe negatively about myself and disconnect me to my intuition and the things I did know. And going back to that whole Wobble issue, like right now, or what's going on today, has been I think to challenge my mindset again and see where I'm at on choosing to trust my intuition and what I've seen to be true. Yeah. So, holy fuck. I'm already at 3 miles apparently. I have no idea how that happened. I've just been here jabbering. Yeah. So yeah, it's like I've seen all the ways the universe is still moving things around for me and making me do things, getting me places that I would not have otherwise gone had I seen what was actually there, like the whole deal with that piercing stuff that I talked to the other day. That was that, so my, I think it's called the tragus piercing. So I said in another video that I looked at it one day, what I saw was a threaded end showing and no back on it. And I showed it to my mom and she saw the same thing. And so it was this big ordeal and I rushed to the piercing place, which was like 45 minutes away from my house, with other drama in the middle beforehand. But I still rushed over there to have them check it out. And the girl had me go back, and I lay down on the table they use, and she looks at it and takes a picture of it. It says, it's still there, it's still fine, everything's there. I was like, wait a second. Because that wasn't what she showed me in the picture, was not what I had seen in the mirror view that I got of it, and it's not what my mom said she saw. And I even verified that with my mom when I got home. It's like, did you not see a post with a threaded end and nothing on it? And she said, yes, that is what she saw. It's like, holy fuck. I said, because that is not even the type of stuff they use. So, I spent my whole time over there realizing that, or on the way back from the piercing place, or the tattoo shop, realizing that the universe can make anything happen, if it make me see anything, if it needs to get me somewhere that I would not otherwise be going at that moment. And that was back to the tattoo shop. That was 45 minutes away from my house. That no, I would not go there if I was not going for something specifically. That's one of those places, like, if my mom knows that I'm going somewhere and she says, oh, where are you going? And I happen to say that town, or I have an appointment or whatever, she always automatically assumes I'm going to come back with another tattoo or a piercing of some sort. Specifically from that town, because that's my go-to for piercings. And not that I've got a bunch, it's where I got my eyebrow done, and the 4 ear piercings at one time. Aside from that, I got a couple tattoos there long time ago. Looks like there's a little kid skating down there. But yeah, like, it has been shown to me time and again that if the universe wants me somewhere, they'll get me there. Whether I'm knowingly going along with it or not. They have, looks like a hoverboard kind of Segway thing. I don't know what it is. They're on wheels too, but not these kind of wheels. But yeah, it's like that, and then deal with going to the hospital a couple days ago to visit my dad. It started with the car acting up for several days. I took it to the place, the guy starts it, and it doesn't do anything. And it has not done anything since then. It's like, what the fuck? So all that has to do with, the universe reminding me that it can get me where it wants me to be. And yeah, that's fun. So it's like even the stuff that's going on with, like, the stuff from last night, today, and the former stepson making an appearance in some kind of way, and then ending up on social media at exactly the right time to bump into the physical person existing on that twin flame thing. And yeah, it made me sick at first. It was just like, no, I don't want to do this. And it's like, because, that's, the idea is if you encounter their energy or engage the energy of their 3D person, it can cause blocks or push the connection further away. And I've kind of been maintaining this astral projection stuff and just staying up in the higher levels of existence and not engaging with any of that. And there was one thing in in January, that brought me on to a different platform that I have actively been avoiding ever since. Facebook's kind of like, I get on there, it's like less than an hour a week. But the past few days, since there's been a bunch of time up in the hospital dealing with stuff with my dad and just with the stuff with my grandparents going on, I've spent more time on Facebook than I should have anyway. And today it just took me somewhere else. There's like, oh yeah, there's a reason I wasn't doing this. On that end, I will say that last night I decided to share the fact that I'm doing any of this with a friendly acquaintance from seminary. She has a blog she does, and it's recasting religious trauma. And I've commented on a few of her posts and talked about issues with that, the religious trauma stuff, as well as blog stuff. And she's like, oh, I would love to check it out sometime. Well, I was having better luck with the blog. But then I was thinking about it last night. It's like, you know what? But in this vlog, not quite the same, because I can't focus my attention span to do the writing as much. Was going better on that last week when I was getting up early, and then all chaos ensues with the family to bring that to a screeching halt. It just put me in a crazy spot on that end. And so I decided, I was like, you know what? I'll go ahead and send it to her. So I told her, or sent her my webpage. It's more just storytelling and maybe like poetry kind of stuff every now and then. I feel like that's where that one's going more than the blog side. Because I feel like this whole vlog going the video route instead is easier. And go figure, me talking about doing anything on video being easier seems weird in and of itself. Yeah, but it's kind of at the point where it really is, because sitting down and focusing on the writing, sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. But it's real easy to just hit the button and talk to the camera now. Would not have been in the past. Was not in the past. God, I even think back to like when I was little, my mom would break out the Richard Simmons workout videos, VHS tapes, and she'd have that playing, and I'd be doing it with her because it was dancing stuff, and I liked that. And as soon as my dad showed up with a damn video camera, it's like, nope, not doing it. And then like on the speaking end, I was so traumatized when my best friend in I think I was like 6 or 7. I was all excited to be able to call her house and talk to her on the phone, because we had the corded phones you had to talk to, and wherever that phone was in your house. And her mom answers the phone one day and asked if Rachel's there. And she says, oh, is this her boyfriend? I was so traumatized because, now throughout this whole thing, and now I have to consider that, well, do I sound like a boy? Do I not sound like I'm supposed to? What, and that was, little kid traumatized, and one of those early things that got me to stop talking and stop wanting to communicate with anybody, and think back to preschool. That was fun. So preschool, I flunked preschool because I wouldn't talk to anybody. I was, of course, a summer birthday, so my parents met with the principal of the elementary school, and he said they could go either way with me. I passed like all the stuff, so like or like all the tests and stuff that I was supposed to for my age, and he said they could go ahead and send me in, and I would go through school with the people that I'd been friends with up to that point, or I could take another year of preschool. So, to mature a little bit is how my mom says it, I think. And so yeah, I flunked preschool. Because I wouldn't talk to anybody. And oh crap. I don't know. Passing people on bikes and shit, I think. No, maybe they're going the other way. I don't know. But yeah. So, that was my early traumas on speaking. Then there's this whole other deal where, okay, so I've thought about mentioning this before because I know it's one of those things. It's come up at every other point in my lifetime. Why wouldn't it come up once people actually start watching my videos, right? So, the teeth thing. When I was a baby, before I had any teeth, I really earned like a really high fever, and it damaged the enamel of my teeth. And after my baby teeth started falling out and the other teeth started growing in, then there's the girl in 5th grade who, for this purpose, I used to call her my nemesis because I need a nemesis, right? So my nemesis was 5th grade, and she gets really loud and she says, "Ew, why do your teeth look like that? Don't you ever brush your teeth?" So enter other thing that like traumatizes me early on and makes me not want to communicate with anybody or smile or anything like that. So that was a whole thing in and of itself. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna pause it again. So yeah, there was that stuff, and it was just kind of like everything seemed to feed into that as I was growing up. Like there was always issues on that end, and then my mom, because my teeth were coming in funny with spots on them and all that crap, decided that she's going to take me to the doctor, or to the dentist, so we can get it fixed. And I got veneers put on, some of them. And, that whole going to the dentist all the time back in middle school and elementary school traumatized me and made me hate the dentist. Because I had one day, I think I went in to get a crown, cap, put on, and my mom took me out of school at like 10 o'clock for this 10:30 appointment. And so we go to the dentist, and it shouldn't take that long, but it did. So the dentist gave me the shot to numb my mouth and proceeds to disappear, and I think probably took his lunch and all that other stuff. By the time he got back to me, the numbing stuff was wearing off. And because I was so tired of sitting there, I wasn't about to say anything about it hurting because I just wanted to be done. So he's doing all this drilling and everything, and I felt everything. And oh God, that sucked. And made me forever hate the dentist. Till one of the kids I went to school with became a dentist. Now he's the only dentist I will go to. I'm not going out of my way to see him either. But I trust him, and I always liked him growing up. My mom babysat him for a little bit. He was a good dude. So, and then we ended up at the same undergrad. Obviously different programs. But, yeah. And he's one of those that he's never made me feel any kind of way about anything. But, it's like when I've encountered people that I always felt were good guys in my school career. The guy that I was with from sophomore year high school to sophomore year undergrad. And when I saw him at any point afterwards, like especially at Tyler's funeral, mind you, it was like over a decade after that whole thing, after we broke up. It's like a decade later, and I can't look at him, I can't talk to him. I feel like a bumbling idiot because here I am all these years later, still with my parents and feeling like I'm not going anywhere in life. I've done nothing with my life, and this the dentist is kind of like that too. It's like, man, I know this sounds like I'm stupid. At the time I saw him last, I had just gotten back, was in the process of getting divorced, found out I didn't have my dental insurance because I had thought I was covered on my ex's plan, and apparently somewhere along the line I was not. I think I vaguely remember that we chose to drop it when I had taken on one of the other jobs because that was something that was covered, and then it ended up not getting picked back up, and then I was just screwed over when I had a freaking tooth break after that, and then yet again borrowing mom's care credit card to get that fixed. It's like, fuck, I'm going nowhere in my life, right? And I know that is the biggest point of this whole thing today, is realizing that at any point I could have stopped and trusted myself and started going with what I know instead of all the shitty things I was feeling because of what the world was projecting onto me. And I could have started doing things differently, and I would have followed my intuition and started figuring out what I actually wanted to do for me, I'd be in a whole different place today. So I think that's why the whole Wobble thing had to come in at all. Was to remind me of where I have been and see if I'm really done with that or if I'm going to revert back to old habits. Because, I know a lot of people think the twin flame thing sounds ridiculous. And, I had that friend the other day who said that people in her polyamory group talked about it like it's a cult. It's like, well, because there was the Netflix branch was a cult. The one for the documentary. But, it's people take one element that sounds good and then make it a thing that it's not to manipulate people, which is the unfortunate part of the world that we are currently in. But here we are, and so I know there's all that, but I also know that I would not be where I am right now if it wasn't for that, because it has been one of those things that has kept me trying to move forward in some kind of way. Because so I already always known the career and the love lives go hand in hand together, and it's because that's what I'm supposed to be writing about, is that journey, and how it's all been the universe coordinating things, and that idea of God writing the love story that I fell in love with when I was an undergrad, and it's really all about it, so then I had to decide if I actually believed that it was possible or not, and for a long time I really didn't. I didn't believe. I believed the church views of God, and basically that I was trash and needed somebody outside of myself to save me. When in fact, that's not how it works. You have to do the work yourself. Otherwise, you don't get anywhere. And it sucks, so, but it's one of those things, like, you have to do it to truly get the healing. Oh, and that is hard. It is painful. It is excruciating, even. I'm at 5 miles and I'm not really sure how I got there. A lot slower time than 13 minutes compared to the normal, or the more recent normal 9 to 10 minutes. That's all right. Still forward progress, and I'm still doing something useful. And I'm getting my video in again, even though I already did one that I haven't got posted yet today. So I still have to watch it when I get home, and then watch this one. Probably watch the other one first and get it posted, and then watch this one and then get it posted so I can have it all handled. But yeah, that whole thing, it's like, if it wasn't for the twin flame path that I am on, then I wouldn't have chosen to start the healing process. That painful part, the reason I've cried through most of my videos to this point. Because it sucks. Healing sucks. It's hard. And I needed that motivation to keep me moving forward. Because if it wasn't for that, my tendency has always been, as I've proven time and time again, go back into my shell and hide, not do anything, but stagnate. I got that down pat. Too many crab placements for that not to be easy. But, once I committed the love life and the career to the universe, and then was shown who this person that I've been looking for my entire life and very much not finding has been, initially I didn't even believe it. It's like, yeah, right, out of my league, right? And then it became a thing with how's he gonna find me? If that is my person that I've been looking for my entire life, how would he find me? Because who was I? Somebody very content to hiding in the shadows and not doing the work when it came down to it, because it hurt and was hard and was uncomfortable and made me cry. And helped me cry through all my videos. Not all of them, but a good chunk of them. So I think I needed this today just so I could do this video and make these connections all over again, or review the connections and be like, oh yeah, all this stuff happened and that's why I believe it. But yeah, like even this morning when I got up, I was in a pretty good headspace. And, all right, today is going to be a good day, kind of a day. And listen to this happy music and feel that sappy, happy place. And then just to get brought to a screeching halt by the end of it. Not by the end, because here we are going and realizing that, I've had these cards that keep reminding me that that I have come a long way from where I was, when I first went live on Instagram and cried just after this little less than a minute long video that nobody saw except for my cousin. Yeah. I'm not there. I've come a long way since then. Yeah. And all because I've stayed focused on this twin flame thing. Okay. Not on the 3D aspect, because that is where it turns to shit. Because that's not my department. My part in the twin flame part is the upper chakra stuff. It's getting into the goddess energy of receptivity and flow and doing something from that space and learning to communicate, because the divine feminine is her space is the upper 3 chakras: throat, third eye, and crown. And hey, that's all stuff I've been working on. Obviously throat chakra, because hey, I'm doing YouTube videos. And obviously third eye stuff and crown stuff, because most of the weird stuff that I'm talking about, I think people just raise their eyebrows at me or tell me I'm nuts. And therefore I'm in a family where mental health concerns can be a big thing, because it's something I've had to overcome. That fear of being seen as crazy, because hey, quite confident I knew I would be here at some point in my life, and that's why all of the fears that I did have took me on this journey that they have. And now I have something to focus my, well, it's like focus on from the standpoint of putting me in a higher vibration place, and feeling more positively rather than the constant inclination to focus and dwell in the negativity that is so prevalent in my family, and all that stuff. Now, here I am. One of my cards, I think it might have been the Rumi card, talks about, no, I think it was probably the Michael and Faith card. The Archangels talks about consider yourself strategically placed. Even if it's less than ideal, where you are is where you are needed. And the challenges you are going through will help you on your journey going forward and your mission in the future. It's like, well, yeah, I can see how that relates now, as I've talked my way through this evening. Pushing my miles, into my 6th mile. Don't even really know how I got there already. But hey, I'm already 56 minutes on the video too. So, time flies when you're having fun, kid. Fun, kids. Bleh. Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, okay, like the whole TBI, like even before then, like I feel like I've always kind of done that where it's like my words get shuffled around and don't come out necessarily in the right order, or the letters change places from where they're supposed to be. And used to, I would just talk myself up about being stupid. Now I can laugh at myself a lot more than I used to be able to. I told my aunt the other day, it's like, I feel like I'm taking all the words of the sentence that I want to say and putting it in like one of those Yahtzee cups. They're on where they're like on little dice, and you just shake them up and throw it out, and whatever order they come out in is the order I try to say it in. It's like, and sometimes it's just like, what the fuck is that? I don't know what that is. I know I'm supposed to be smarter than that, and yet that's what's happening. Oh, yeah. So that's another thing that I've had to kind of work through as well. So it's like, I know I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I know I'm exactly learning the things I need to get me into the next place, to be ready for all the things that I've been trying to dream up, I guess. But yeah, sometimes it feels like a hot mess all the same. Yeah, that's me. Freaking mess. Yeah. I don't know, it's interesting, because like even with the TBI, before I got the TBI, now I can tell you I have had many concussions before that one. Like my brother liked to encourage me in the fine art of headbanging because I had long hair and it was fun. Or when I was doing gymnastics in the living room and went to do a backflip and hit, or like a somersault backwards, and cracked my head on the floor, and we had carpet with a thin little wussy pad between it and the concrete foundation. And I felt that one a lot. And there's been other stuff. Oh, like when I was in marching band, I want to say it was either I'm wanting to say it's either freshman year or sophomore year, actually, because we went to get this set of chimes out of the truck. The chimes were very heavy and very tall and awkward, so you had to if you're smart about it, somebody needed to have a hand high up on this thing to guide it down at that place. And we had some people that were not normally helping us unload it. And one of them was a drum major, and he kind of rushed into it one way, and the chimes started to slip. And in trying to save them, he and I cracked heads real hard. That one damn near knocked me out. So I've had concussions more than my share. So that probably also doesn't help with the shuffling of my words. But whatever. But I was so hell-bent on not speaking up, not using my voice. I was bound to all the negative views of myself and my appearance and my voice and all those things, that the idea of doing something like this would have been like, no way in hell. And there's my 6. When I got the TBI, I was in seminary. So since that's a grad school program, since I was trying to do that, I got to a point where after my brain injury, it's like, I'm either going to learn to speak up and talk to people about what's going on and how I'm not catching things, or I'm going to flunk the fuck out of seminary. And, well, I'm sure the religious types would tell you that I should have done that, but hey. That actually wouldn't be the people I went to seminary with. They were actually really cool people. And even thinking about that, like the church that I used to go to back in high school and undergrad and all that stuff, and I was going to Sunday school with my parents after undergrad, and there were a couple other people around my age that were in that particular Sunday school. And one girl was married to a guy who wanted to be a preacher, and she made a big deal about she was trying to talk him into going to seminary, but obviously it couldn't be the one that I went to, because it was, what was that one? I forget what denomination affiliation it was, but it was not United Methodist, and United Methodist was the only way as far as she was concerned. So, like, she, as I'm in seminary, she's talking down to me about the seminary that I was going to. It's like, you know what? Whatever. Church people, man. I say that. I used to be one. Seminary actually helped me not be one. I really loved my experience there, because, like the one instructor, I think he was also the dean of students. He was the one that encouraged me to look into Father Richard Rohr, who's a Franciscan monk that talks about like Christian mysticism topics. And it's like, ooh, I like mysticism. And it was, introductions in one of his classes. I was auditing the class, and it's like, well, so I started in a Southern Baptist church, got baptized there, and had a bunch of friends from the drumline days that invited us to the United Methodist Church, so we started going there, because they had this program called Red Letter Edition that was for the youth. And hey, I was a youth back then. So we started going to Red Letter. And then, next thing you know, the guy that I was dating at the time ends up in a band with these other guys that I was friends with. Yeah, most of them. I think I've talked about that too. There's one of them that didn't like me. He was nice to me because he liked the guy I was dating, but he didn't like me. And then the pastor's son, that was the lead singer, he didn't dislike me. He just wasn't really, we weren't in the same groups school-wise. So the closest connection we had was that he was so good of friends with the guys that I was friends with from Drumline, and they all formed a band together. Well, not all of them, but 3 of the most important ones in my life. So yeah. Yeah. And then I remember why I started on this spiel. I kind of do. So after, there was a bit of a blow up with the way things happened for my wedding. We paid to rent the church, but it ended up being a big ordeal because it was the day before their breakfast with Santa for the little kids. And it was actually one of my good friends' moms that was the ringleader in the bad behavior at the church. So for the wedding, the catering bunch was in the kitchen and all that fun stuff. Somebody got into the cups for the Santa, or breakfast with Santa. And she unloaded on this person in the catering staff who was actually like the main caterer. Well, like the main caterer was kind of my wedding planner. And it was her daughter that got unloaded on by this lady in the church, because it's so important, to have the right cups for breakfast with Santa when, hey, Jesus. Yeah, and it's like, that's not cool. I don't like that at all. My mom didn't like that at all. My mom even she didn't confront her in a direct way, but she made it known to the entire Sunday school class that she didn't appreciate that somebody had gone off on the catering staff over cups. It's like, dude, cups, we can replace cups. And yeah, cups. Freaking plastic cups, no less. Not even important cups. But we stopped going to that church after that. And that's kind of the church in this town. Seems to be the main one that people choose to be affiliated with. And that was like the end of our connection with them. And then just realized how jacked up a lot of shit was that we were oblivious to, because we were friends with the people that were running over people and being assholes to anybody that wasn't of their standing in the church. So yeah. And like that one girl that basically told me my seminary was not good enough for her husband because it was not the United Methodist Church, or it was not affiliated with the United Methodist Church. We were still friends on Facebook, and at some point later on, I was like, hey, okay, any friends that go to church, it's like, are there churches around here you recommend? Because I would like to go back to one. And then she pops up with, oh, we would love to have you come back. We miss you so much. And I was like, you miss me so much that you waited until I posted this statement or this question looking for another church to go to before you say you miss us because now you know I'm shopping around for a different church. It's like, you didn't care in the 6 months that we weren't there, You care when I mention it to mention it online. Well, we were not friends after that. That is how that went. So I got booted from her friend list because she didn't appreciate my attitude and all that stuff. It's just like, yeah. There I go again. I'm trying to figure out on that spiel if like there was something that I had started from that I didn't get back to actually addressing. But I think, because just thinking about the ridiculousness of all this stuff, it's like I do feel a lot better than I did a little bit ago when I started this whole thing. Now it's 1:11 on the timer. Yeah. Anyway, I am thirsty, and I am probably pushing 7 miles, and I'm not done skating. I'll probably skate for a little while yet, but I think I'm done with this particular video. You just never know where they're gonna go. I actually kind of enjoy that about me, to be honest. It's like, or just follow it. Where do we go? Yeah. So anyway, on that note, I'm going to call it here. As always, I appreciate you, and until the next time, see you later.